All right, welcome back to day 3 of forensics class. Today we're going to be discussing the last few of the forensic places I picked, the occupations. There are plenty more than what I have listed here, but I tried to pick some of the ones you see on TV and then some of the ones that you can major in college if you really want to go down the forensics field. So I tried to pick some of the bigger ones too, but there are plenty more: handwriting, ones dealing with pets, etc. So today we're going to talk about forensic dentistry. Start with that. Forensic dentistry is primarily used for identifying a victim using their teeth. Teeth are not unique like fingerprints or DNA. But there are some, enough uniqueness that you can possibly identify. Plus, if the person's burned, your teeth do not burn, so it's one of the few ways that you can identify someone through dental records. With that said, like I said, the biggest thing is identifying maybe the victim here, not necessarily the perpetrator. Unfortunately, TV has really messed this one up, and a lot of people that denounce forensics as being as accurate as it is always go to forensic dentistry because, again, it's one of the most inaccurate. People have been falsely convicted with using forensic dentistry. There are, like I said, there are things that you can tell. Germs that are left, or maybe food remnants if they've bitten the victims, which has happened. Ted Bundy, many of his victims he had bitten, so they connected him to the crime. But again, unfortunately, it's not that accurate as a part of identifying someone, and we have many people that have been falsely accused with using dental records. So of all of these, so anytime anybody denounces forensics as being that accurate, but they immediately go to dentistry, then they really don't have a very strong argument. That's the ones that most, and if that's used in a court case, defense attorneys tear that one up. So when it comes to that, yes, this is the least of all. Yeah, and like I said, it's not really used to identify the attacker. It is more to use to identify the person who has lost their life, and we found them after some time, and you can use that hopefully to find out who that person is. Another one used when you've had a body for a long time, besides entomology and besides dentistry, is forensic anthropology. If you watch the show Bones, that's what anthropology is, actually the study of cultures, but how you get that out of this is the human remains. Believe it or not, your body tells us a lot of things through the bones. Many of the parts of that show are true. Measuring bone and bone fragments, they can determine height. If you use your femur, which is your upper leg bone, that can actually help determine the height of the person. That determines that your gender. Women have wider pelvises, obviously used for childbirth as opposed to males. The skull will give us ethnicity based on the shape of the skull, because different races throughout the world. And then, of course, hopefully age, that's the tougher one, and health by the bone structure, if the person has had breaks and how the bone is healed. Obviously, if they've had extensive work, if you ever, I think I told you about Body Worlds. If they've had extensive work like hip replacement or something in their back to keep them healthy, then that would obviously go a long way in helping to identify the victim. And then what you would do is you would take what you can get from this information and try to determine, again, this is more for identifying who the victim is. You might be able to tell by markings on the bone, or how long the bone's been out and exposed. Might be able to tell a little bit about the crime, but probably not a whole lot. Again, this one's used more for identification. That's where bone goes a little off the rails. What you would do then is search for missing persons or outstanding cases from that information and be able to determine maybe who has died. Forensic psychology, for all you psychology people out here you go. Now, Ms. McGrady, this is her area of expertise, and if you like this stuff, please feel free to take her classes on this. But if you're into forensic psychology for profiling, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's just not that many jobs out there for forensic profilers. While it's great on TV, and I'm sure it's very, very fascinating, really the only place that's going to be able to hire them is the FBI, and those obviously jobs are limited. However, criminal psychology or forensic psychology definitely has needs in that area. Forensic psychologists are great expert witnesses to tell the mentality of a person when committing a crime, or if they're able to be in court. If you remember our guy Lemonhead from Law and Order, that would all be helped out by the criminal psychologist or forensic psychologist, who would be able to help the court and help the attorneys with the mental well-being of somebody that's involved in a court case. They also may consult with court officials or the judge. The judge may ask for clarification on somebody's mental status. They're going to interview that person or persons involved to help everyone to understand where this person is mentally. Unfortunately, we probably won't be able to get to watch the video. We had one where a guy is mentally challenged, and the case was to determine whether he could understand whether he committed the crime. And I'll give you an example. On his application to get a gun, they asked him when he put his birth date, and his birth date was 4. And the attorney asked him to clarify that, and he goes, no, it's just 4. Well, the court needs to know, the jury needs to know where this person is mentally. Would they have been able to understand filling out a whole gun permit form? And ultimately, the jury decided that no, he wasn't. And that was all helped out and assisted by the forensic psychologist, who was able to explain that this person did not have the education nor the mental makeup to understand exactly what he was doing. So, again, very, very important. There are jobs out there available for this, but like I said, if you're going down the criminal profiling road, probably not so much. But a very, very important part of our criminal justice system is the forensic psychologist. Now, our last two are two of the fastest growing jobs that you can get in America. Not everybody's jumping all over accounting, I understand, and if you don't know what accounting is, that is following people's money. The famous line from the Watergate investigation of President Nixon was "follow the money." Well, if you can follow money, you can follow a lot of different crimes. And their job is to determine crimes based on where the money is going. Often money is a big part of crimes, and so they're going to use accountants to find where money is hidden. It is often used by, obviously, groups like drug dealers who are going to hide their money. You can't put on your tax forms that you're a drug dealer for an occupation. So you have to be able to hide that money, and that can be quite a bit of money. If you watch the show Breaking Bad, several seasons are dedicated to hiding the money. If you remember going back to money laundering or opening legitimate businesses to hide illegal monies, that would be one way. Certainly organized crime would fall into this as well. Somebody that's embezzling. Somebody who is hiding money in a divorce. That happened a few years ago, where one guy who had much money and cheated on his wife, and she was after his money, used forensic accounting to find out that he was hiding several millions of dollars, and the judge awarded that to her because he had lied about how much he was worth. This was all helped by forensic accounting. So the jobs are out there and available. Obviously, the IRS is a big one as well. People are cheating on their taxes all the time. So this is a job if you are okay with doing accounting. This is like extra puzzle work. If you watch the movie The Accountant, that also will give you an example of what forensic accountant does. And they can testify in court, and they're very good at showing or getting the jury to understand where the money is going and showing illegal activity that way. So very important job, can make you a lot of money, and it's very big right now. It's one of the highest jobs for collecting income these days and getting hired. And the last one is the computer forensic analyst. Now, don't get this confused with somebody who works for a company and builds firewalls or protects people from getting outside, or the ones that actually break into those. Those are also legal jobs that will help companies to stop people from getting identity theft. That's certainly one of them. Those are jobs, though, that you're going to have to be very high in math and very good at computer skills. The computer forensic analyst, while could do those jobs, is also somebody who their job is to go into computers and find the things that people don't want them to find. And this is really big in people that are committing crimes over the computer. Could be identity theft. More likely what they're searching for, people that are searching for things like how to make a bomb, pedophilia, illegal activities that are done over the computer. These are all things that can be done that way, and that they have images or things that are hidden in their computer, and your job is to find them. Again, a lot of this is done by government. Local police are also hire this job if you are somebody who is a cybersecurity and forensic analyst. So they take that, and if it's been deleted or lost information, that is something as well that their job is to find. Again, a very high, quickly growing field. The more and more people are putting things on computers, on their phones, etc. So this is the end of our forensics. Enjoy your break, and I will see you guys next week when we will start to talk about some of the things. We're actually going to go over the Trayvon Martin case, and you're going to use some of your new forensic skills to try to break down that case and understand what happened, as well as writing a paper or maybe a career in one of these fields. All right, until then, enjoy your break, and I will see you guys next week.